My name is Priscilla Jolwe Muhiamba, and I'm your host for today's webinar. Now I'm going to turn on my camera. I hope you can see me. Now, for those who might be joining us for the very first time, or you don't really know what we do as Thrive Aid, simply put, or briefly put, we are a youth-focused nonprofit organization that works around three main thematic areas, namely education, mentorship, and mental health. Now, our mission as Thrive Aid is to aid young people in actualizing their potential and capitalizing on their abilities to achieve success. Now, in order to achieve this mission, one of the initiatives we have come up with is to host monthly career guidance webinars where we invite various skilled professionals to share valuable insights about their line of work. Now, this webinar is not only beneficial to students, but parents as well, guardians, and basically anyone interested in exploring different career paths. So our topic for today is, or for this month's webinar rather, is a career in STEM. So STEM basically is an acronym that stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I believe by the end of this session, we'll be able to know more about STEM. Trying to check if my speakers are all here. So I'll start by introducing Blessings Mwansa. I can see he's in, who is a chemistry educator, an author, and a researcher. We also have Innocent Kasoma, who is a multi-innovation award winner. Hopefully Inutu and Mukangandu get to join us, but Inutu Luwinda is a medical doctor, and Mukangandu Hamonga is a chemical engineer. So we're going to have an interactive session where we get to ask them different questions. And also remember, if you've got a question that you would like to ask them, you could type it in our chat box, and I'll be able to attend to it during the Q&A. So without further ado, Blessings Mwansa, please, within 30 seconds, try to give us a brief introduction of yourself.
Okay, am I visible? I don't trust my camera.
Okay, you are visible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Priscilla, for that wonderful introduction. As introduced, my name is Blessings. I'm a chemistry educator, a researcher, and an author. Currently pursuing a master's in chemical engineering and technology. I think briefly that's what I can say about myself.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. Innocent, you're up next. Innocent, are you here?
Oh, can you hear me?
Great,
Okay.
we can hear you now, thanks.
Yeah, my name is Innocent Kasoma. I'm an engineer in computer science, as well as the CEO and founder of Axis Technologies. Yes, I think that's so about me.
Great, awesome, thank you. Ingutu, are you with us? Ingutu and Mukangandu? Okay, I guess we'll proceed from there. Now let's get right into the questions. And now, Blessings, are you able to share with us basically your journey from being a chemistry educator to being an author and a researcher? You know, what inspired you to pursue a career in chemistry, and really what are some career opportunities that you feel are in the science field? So I know I've asked you a number of questions, but let's start with what can you share from your journey? Because from your bio, we've seen that you're a chemistry educator, you're an author, you're a researcher, quite a unique combination, I must say. So how has been your journey through this process?
Thank you once again. I will start with my journey, my education journey. I have been a science teacher for as far back as I can remember. I started teaching when I was very young. I worked informally. I worked in different tuition centers, teaching all the sciences. And formally, I started in 2018. I taught from 2018 up to 2022. So how I ended up becoming a chemistry teacher is actually a very, very interesting journey. I'm one kind of a person that loves challenging himself. So what happened was when I was doing I can say just from secondary school, I found the rest of the subjects to be pretty easier for me. And it so happened that chemistry was a little bit more complex by the nature of it being more abstract. So it's one kind of a subject that used to give me a lot of challenges. So when I was enrolling for my undergraduate, I already had the passion of wanting to pursue chemistry because I wanted something that was more challenging. The rest of the other subjects were a little bit easier for me. And it so happened that when I got the results for the time I was supposed to major, to branch off and major into a particular subject, chemistry was actually the lowest. I had a good number of A pluses and A's, and then chemistry was the lowest with a B plus. So it was giving me that indication that I still don't know much about this particular subject. So from that point, I felt, let me take up a challenge and see what I can do. So that's how I ended up becoming the chemistry, majoring into the chemistry. And then I started working, as I mentioned, informally, and then formally, that was like 2018. Yeah, the journey was quite interesting. We produced very good results. And yeah, we were getting positive feedback from the learners. Then, doing the same routine things, work in, work out, sometimes it becomes boring. So I was actually looking for something new that I can do. And I'm one kind of a person that loves contributing to the body of knowledge. So I have the science, I have learned the chemistry, then what? So I took up a challenge of writing. So I started in 2019. That's when I did my first publication, 2019 going into 2020. I wrote my first chemistry book that was Easy Chemistry Grade 10. Then 2021, I published another one that was grade 11. Then 2021 to 2022, that's when I did the final publication, which was Easy Chemistry Grade 12. So I did the whole curriculum for the chemistry. And then my research journey, of course, I'm a very curious person and very experimental. And that's one of the things that made me I think, pursue chemistry because it was giving me room to experiment and discover new things. So as per requirement in the universities, of course, you're supposed to do a thesis. And by then we were doing social sciences because I was doing education. So I did my first thesis. That was in 2017 when I was graduating. And from there, I think I developed the interest in research and I started collaborating with different doctors. We were looking at different problems in the education setup. We could run a number of research in different subjects. And then it so happened that I was privileged to be a presenter at the National Symposium. So there's a chemistry National Symposium that used to be held. I don't know if it's still there. It used to be annually, somewhere around November. So I wrote like for 2 consecutive years. I was a presenter, and I think that's what I can say about my journey to do with my educational journey. Then what inspired me to do chemistry is another question. I think the inspiration came from, I think I'm one person who is fascinated with just nature, with the natural world. Like you're trying to figure out why A and B put together, and then you get a different component. So just being curious to understand the composition of things, the structure of things, or generally the behavior of matter. So the fascination is one thing that was more like an inspiration. Secondly, I can say just a desire to make a difference. So I have learned the science, and then of course it sparks a curiosity in me. And then what? So that desire of wanting to make a contribution to the body of knowledge for me was more of an inspiration. And the other thing is just a passion for experimenting and discovering new things. I find chemistry to be wide, especially the chemistry that I'm doing now. It gives you a platform to do so many things. So it gives you room to experiment and be part of the groundbreaking discoveries that are happening, be it in the drug synthesis world, be it in the cancer theranostic world. So it gives you that room to experiment. Then lastly, I can say just being a problem solver. I think I've always been a person that is looking at how can I figure out this? How can I solve this problem? So if I feel there's an educational gap, how do I come in? How do I chip in with the knowledge that I have? How can I make a contribution? So I can say those have been my inspiration, besides many other things, but I can say the fascination, just a desire to make a difference, the passion to experiment things and discover new things, and just the love of unlocking complex issues. I think that's what I can say for now.
Okay, great, lovely. Actually, something that I picked up from that is where you mentioned that at a point, chemistry was one of your lowest, is it, subjects? Now, ideally, what we would do is if I don't perform well in a certain subject and it's one of my lowest, I get to conclude that, you know what, I'm just not supposed to go that route. So chemistry is not for me. But then for you, you looked at it as a challenge to say, let me take this same one up, which is really an inspiration. Also, where you mentioned to say that, fine, you know, get your paper, you get your degree, but then what next, you know?
Yeah.
That's really the line in which I think we all should be thinking. Of course, reach that target, reach that goal, but then after that, what are you planning to do? So what next is a very good question to ask yourself. Thank you so much for that. Now,
yeah, thank you.
we're going to get into ask Innocent. Innocent, are you there?
Yes, I'm available.
I think there's one question that I haven't answered.
Yes,
You
yes,
asked
yes.
me about opportunities. Is it opportunities in
Science.
science?
Yes, I'm going to get back to that actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Innocent, are you able to turn on your camera? Now, you are the CEO of the Access Technologies, right? So now what
Yes.
motivated you to start your own company? And are you able to probably like share a memorable achievement like throughout your career?
Okay. As the CEO of Access Technologies, um, I was motivated by the passion for innovation and desire to make a meaningful impact in the tech industry. It all began in 2018. I think that's the time I thought of having my own company or something that would be a provider of solutions in the tech industry. So 2019, I had to register, and then by then I was still in school. So I didn't have something which was like something that I can call a groundbreaking, maybe innovation or invention to bring out there to say this is the biggest problem that I've solved. Not until last year. I think last year that's where we, with a team that I've assembled, we came up with something that I can call now a groundbreaking digital tool that is now used to differentiate the counterfeit products on the market from the original products on the market as well. So this system that we are working on, or this project, showcased our team's ability to push the boundaries of technology and address critical challenges faced by businesses and consumers alike. So I thought of coming up with this project because it's something that I saw to say there are reports day in about the same counterfeit products. People have been caught. Were poisoned about suspected counterfeit products where people manufacture Coca-Cola, Fanta, and other drinks. So I saw it as a health. It was posing a health risk, and I thought of what should I do to try to solve this problem that we are having as a country, knowing that there's only a manual way of identifying counterfeit products because it's not easy. There's no digital form of digital way you can use to identify the products on the market. So it is something that drove me in the time I was even coming up with an idea of opening up my company to say, I need to be solving problems. I need to be solving problems that I'm facing or people are facing in the region or in the country. So I think for me, that's what motivated me the most. It's about problem solving. Like Blessings talked about, say he loves problem solving. So in my field as well, it's something that I look forward to say I need to be a problem solver. I look for problems, then here and there try to solve them. Yeah, I think that was my passion and what led me to start my own company.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And I think one thing I've picked up from that is even as you are starting a business or whatever project you would like to embark on, you need to think about what problem are you solving? Because if you don't think about it, I think really you're not doing anything. Am I right?
If you're not thinking about that, then you are not making a difference. So you really need to think about problems.
Exactly. So now, what's that memorable achievement that you can say has highlighted your career?
Okay, for speaking about the same project that we worked on, and It's yet to be published or to be released for people to start using it. I think from the time I started thinking about it and how I'll solve the problem, it is something that gave me a lot of questions, something that gave me a lot of challenges. I would ask myself, say, this solution that I've provided for these same counterfeit products on the market, what other means can be used to bypass what I've just solved? Am I able to 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 combat this situation? So it is something that gave me challenges. Like most of the time when I think of solutions, I'll challenge myself, come up with the ways that people can bypass what I came up with, and I'll go back again and start thinking, how do I uh, prevent that from happening? So I remember there was a competition at school where it was innovation inspired challenge, which were they announced to say, bring your innovation or inventions that you have. So let's see what you can do. So when I even registered, say, okay, I'll showcase this system, this problem that I've solved. I'll showcase it. So I remember there was a time where I felt like I think since nobody has thought about it, why we haven't been seeing it? I think maybe they faced these challenges which I've faced, and maybe I'm thinking there's no solution to it. So I gave up a bit, and again I would come back to it, and I'm like, no, there should be a way of trying to combat this problem that you're having. So not until the time for the exhibition came, we were competing about 54 projects which were there. And from what I gathered, what I presented, the solutions and the systems which I developed, well, we were declared winners. We came up first position. And for me, I still remember that say this was the groundbreaking for me. It's something that I thought from scratch, and then thought about problems, solutions, implemented them, and then they worked. So I saw that to say, people, they know what I'm trying to solve, and they believe in what I'm trying to solve. And it's the problem is there. And then this is the solution that I've presented. So for me, I consider that to be a groundbreaking, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. And now we'll get back to blessings. Remember, I had asked you earlier to say, what are some of the career opportunities in the science field?
Well, thank you very much once more. In terms of career opportunities, I can say there's a wide range of career opportunities when it comes to science and chemistry related science. And one of it being, you can be a research scientist who is just focusing on problem solving, like what Innocent was saying. I am privileged enough to do my master's somewhere, and the experience that I have had so far, I feel the way we learn science back home and how science is supposed to be learned, like there's a very huge gap. The actual way of learning science from other people's perspective is about problem solving. So can you identify a crisis, and can you use the scientific technology to solve the problem? So like what Innocent was saying, there's a counterfeit product on the market. So can you use your scientific knowledge to solve that particular problem? And that's what's like the science being practiced away from home. So being a research scientist is one of them. where chemistry is concerned, you can be an analytical chemist who is just focusing on working on analysis of different things. And there are so many different industries that you can find yourself in. You can be a chemical engineer who is focusing on coming up with different products and commercialization of different products. There is also pharmaceutical scientist, drug designing, drug synthesis, understanding the drug delivery, all that involves chemistry. You can be an environmental chemist who is just focusing on the synthesis of different environmental sensors. It could be biosensors, it could be water sensors, focusing on those minute, maybe microscopic things like microplastics. Like for now, the trending research with regards to water pollution is that it happens that the water currently contains a lot of microplastics. So these are plastics that we cannot see, but they are able to affect the ecosystem. So you need the scientific knowledge to design certain components that will react with those things and either dissolve. So it's called bioremediation. So there's the environmental side of things. And then you can just be an educator, just imparting knowledge in the learners. You can be a toxicologist, you can be a water scientist. Like the list is endless. As long as you have the science, the list is endless of the opportunities that you can get. I can go as on and on and on. You can be a biochemist, and the list is endless. So I think those are the ones I can mention for now.
Indeed, it is a pool of endless opportunities, I must say.
Yeah.
And one thing I think I picked up from you and Innocent is I think some time back there used to be is it a myth or a misconception when I was still in secondary school to say science lacks creativity, and most people said because they felt that science was only based on facts that had been gathered in the past, and then that's the only thing that we are working with right now, and there's no room for creativity with regards to science. But then I think over the years I've seen that that's totally not the case. Looking at what Innocent had mentioned as well, to say he came up with something, and that initiative actually got to win. You talked about all these professions, you've listed out so many of them, and they all include an aspect of creativity. So now that takes me into my next question, which is what do you think some of the misconceptions are about having a career in STEM or in the science field?
Okay, thank you very much. Like you mentioned, the first one is it's about people thinking science is not creative, because when you're practicing basic science, you're looking at chemical equations, there's association of chemical equations and all those basic things. And that's why I mentioned earlier to say the way we approach science from back home and the way science is approached from these other sides of the world is different. So one of the misconception is the one you mentioned, people thinking it not being creative. But the most common misconception is where everyone think for you to pursue any science related subject or career, you're supposed to be a genius. So there's always that stereotype where people feel for you to pursue science, you have to be an exceptionally gifted individual who is maybe like naturally intelligent, as they put it. But I feel science is something that can be done provided there's hard work, there's perseverance, there's determination, there's curiosity. So that's like one of the most common misconception. And then there are so many others think for you to be a scientist you need to have a big discovery, a big groundbreaking discovery. So like the way Innocent has come up with a project which is able to detect counterfeits. It may seem to be a very complex thing because we most of us are not subjected to different literature. But when you dive into different literature, you find that these things are happening. When it comes to image detection, people are just using different programming systems to come up with different projects. So there's need for us to get more exposed. There's need for us to pay attention to what is currently trending, and then we'll find that we can come up with brilliant ideas. We can cultivate brilliant ideas. So there's a misconception where people think for you to be a scientist, then you need to come up with a very big discovery. But science comes in very small dosages. Just you bridging a small gap, like the way Innocent is doing, you understand that in the production chain, there's a point where people are rebranding things, producing a counterfeit product. So how do you bridge that gap? So you come up with a program that can help you detect what a real product is and what a counterfeit product is. So it's something that is doable provided you do a lot of research, you read a lot of literature, you have to read so many papers, you need to decipher different uh, programming or codes, whatever they call them. So I think in terms of misconceptions, I can say people think you have to be smart, you have to be a genius, or you have to come up with this big groundbreaking discovery. Those are like the most common misconceptions.
Okay, great. So they think you have to be like Albert Einstein.
Yeah, which is not the case.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for that. Now, Innocent, back to you. You also happen to be a mathematician, hey? So now, are you able to share with us some career opportunities that someone interested in mathematics can pursue?
Okay. I'll start by, I think, going back to what Blessing said, from where he saw chemistry as something which was challenging and what made him to pursue and do more of chemistry. For me, it was a different case. So when I was done, I was like, okay, I think I'm done with mathematics. I don't want to do anything with mathematics. I said, I even want to pick a course which doesn't have to do with mathematics. But I wanted to do computer science, not knowing that computer science was all about mathematics. It was, I didn't have that career guidance of what am I looking for in this course. So I remember when I was in college, I think the time I was collecting the timetable in the department, then I saw mathematics and history because I didn't like these two. And I saw math. I was like, okay, so there's mathematics here. And the first lecture for math, the teaching was different from the secondary level, and we were taught to say, here where you've come, if you've got problems with mathematics, you have to reconcile. Otherwise, you won't make it. And I was like, oh, I'm running away from this, and now they are telling me I have to reconcile because I won't do it without mathematics. So that's how I started developing that interest in mathematics to say I need to do more of mathematics because it's a requirement. And people just know about being a mathematician. Maybe what am I going to become at the end of the day? Maybe I'll be a teacher of mathematics. Maybe I'll be a lecturer. There's more to mathematics, and in my field, I like advertising more of the computer science aspect. So one is who is more interested in mathematics can be an engineer. One can be a computer scientist, a computer engineer, a data scientist. So for a data scientist, imagine you have a big puzzle. You've been given a lot of pieces of a big puzzle, and then you are taught to make sense of that puzzle, make pictures of those small pieces. And there's no guidance. There's no picture that you're looking at to compare with what you're making. So being a mathematician or someone who's good in math, it's someone who is, it's just about being lazy. So if you are lazy, you don't want to do a lot of work. You'd want to make shortcuts and then come up with a solution, come up with a problem that you are solving. In a short period of time, you solve the problem. So that is about mathematics. So there's this person who has developed an AI development tool, which is called Devin. I think it is more than the chat GPT-4 and all those AI based, because this system which this person has developed is able to, if you type in what the problem you want to solve, just using simple English, it will be able to do a roadmap on how the system would look like, how it would be, and how you would actually build it. It will actually start building, and when it encounters a problem in your code, it will actually get the errors and everything, sort them out, and then find a solution to that. Unlike these other AI systems where someone just asks the question, they give them feedback like that. So in mathematics, this person who has come up with this AI based, uh, his background was a mathematician. When he was a child, he used to be very good in math, and he would win competitions whereby he would be asked questions in math. He would respond to a question before the moderator or the person who's giving those questions would finish the question. So he was good in mathematics, but from him, he didn't know that he would become an AI specialist one day, but he went into the career that needed people who do much of the problem solving. So mathematics is all about people who are good in problem solving, because math itself is a problem. So people who love math, they are problem solvers. They tend to be good engineers. They tend to be good um, in technology like healthcare and all those. One can be an educator, like Blessings talked about being an educator. You can be an engineer, because even thinking like the way he was talking about the chemists and everything, it's about problem solving. So it takes someone who loves math. I don't think I've seen people who are good in science and chemistry, physics, and then they don't do well in math. I think they move hand in hand. So it's a diverse thing that they'll choose to become if they pursue if they're interested in mathematics and they do good in mathematics. They are going to become people who follow that path will be good problem solvers. So I think those I talked about software development, um, talked about being an academia, like operations research. So using mathematical modeling and optimization are techniques to improve decision making. Those are the careers. Again, data science, I mentioned about it, as well as um, yeah, I think those are the career path that one can pursue.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe I should have also considered the career in STEM. All right, so if you just joined us, you're welcome to our monthly career guidance webinar. And now I am joined by Innocent Customer and Blessings Mwansa, where we get to discuss various aspects of a career in STEM. Now, Blessings, with your expertise in chemistry education, what strategies do you think are or could be most effective in engaging students in STEM subjects, mostly in schools where they may be limited resources, or maybe they lack access to quality education? What strategies do you think could be most effective to inspire and engage students? Because actually some students are afraid of entering STEM classes because of the fear of probably difficulty or maybe the pass rate that they've observed. But you being in this expertise, what strategies do you think could help to increase the number of students who want to join STEM classes?
All right. Thank you very much for that question once again. With my experience of teaching science, the nature of, just to be particular, chemistry, the nature of chemistry is that it's very abstract. Concepts are not tangible. It's not things that you can see. We talk about things that are very abstract, things that do not even exist. When we talk about atoms, we talk about atomic orbitals. Those are things that do not exist. So when you're explaining certain concepts to a child, it makes them even more confused. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to present a concept in a way that will be very relatable to them. So one of the most effective methods that you can use, which is predominantly pronounced by the Ministry of Education, is learner-centered or pupil-centered. So as a teacher, you're just going in there as a facilitator and then let the learning be done by the students themselves. So that's like one of the most effective. Be a facilitator. And in your facilitation, what you're doing is you are just sparking the curiosity in the learners. It's like you're provoking something in them. You're probing. So don't give them answers, just probe. Cultivate that curiosity in them. Let them think, why is this happening like this? And then guide them through the process. So you find that learners get excited and they tend to be so interested in they tend to gain the interest in the subject. Secondly, it's about hands-on experiment and demonstration. So you can never teach science or chemistry without practicals. So sometimes when I'm saying when calcium reacts with water, or when sodium reacts with water, this is an explosive reaction, or it produces sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. It's not relatable to the kids. But when you do a simulation or when you have the resources to demonstrate an experiment, so you get the piece of sodium, you get the water, you mix together, they see something explosive. So something you see you cannot forget. It's very difficult for you to forget. So it becomes relatable. They see the bubbles coming out. You explain what are these bubbles? From the equation, the only thing which is there as a gas is hydrogen. So they'll know this is hydrogen. How do we test for hydrogen? You demonstrate. So it's about something being more practical. So hands-on, again, it's about learner-centered. So you're just trying to spark the curiosity, give them all the necessary resources provided you, there's safety and precautions are followed, and then you guide them through the process. So every step of the way, you're cultivating the curiosity in them, and then they're wondering what is happening or what is being produced, and then eventually there's the interest that is cultivated. The other thing is project-based learning. I remember, I don't know if those days used to have like science fairs or JETS fair where kids come up with, and if you're talking about STEM, that's like the most conventional way of delivering a STEM lesson. So students can come up with different prototypes of projects that they have done. And these projects should be based on solving a particular project, a particular problem in the society. So what problem have you identified? Oh, there's climate change. Or what is causing the climate change is A, B, C, D. So embark on something that will alleviate maybe the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, or there's pollution. Like recently we had an outbreak of cholera. So how do we go about solving this problem? Because you can never have a problem that is always recurring and then you don't have a problem, you don't have a solution to that problem. So whenever you identify a problem, you can only do two things. It's either you alleviate the impact of a problem or you completely solve the problem. So what are the scientists doing? There's load shedding, it's a big problem. There's cancer. The biggest challenge when it comes to cancer is premature detection. So many people, according to the World Health Organization, so many people are dying out of cancer because of we don't have any scientific procedure that we can use to detect cancer in its early stage. So what are the scientists doing? You have to come up with scientific ways of solving the problem. So project-based learning is another one. I can say sometimes field projects. Just take kids on a field project. Take them to Chilanga Cement if they're learning about cement production. So let them go there and see how everything is done from a rock or from a stone into a finished product, which is a cement. So by them seeing all the processes and what happens in each respective process, it helps them to learn. And again, the only way kids will learn is when they are excited. So the first thing that should be a target is to spark the excitement in them, spark the curiosity in them, and then guide them through the process. So field trips, I recommend field trips. And sometimes I think it's just creating that conducive environment. So as a teacher, you have to be like very supportive. You have to be the backbone of every student because you understand their competences. So you know who is an A plus student, who is a B plus, and how much energy you need to channel to push this one from this grade to this grade. So just giving them that supportive environment, I think also sorry, also helps in the learning of STEM. Because one thing I can tell you is sorry, any science related field sometimes is boring and it gets lonely because most of the times you're alone, especially at the level of a master's. If you're doing a serious project, you're always lonely. You're always trying to figure out what's the next step. There's always you locking and unlocking. So you need that extra support. Sometimes there's emotional stress. So you need somebody to give you that emotional support. So the creation of that conducive learning environment makes the learning of STEM to be, I think, more easier for the learners. Yeah, and there's so many other methods. It's about the creativity of the teacher at the end of the day. So if you're going to be a teacher of STEM, you don't have to look at the resources that you have. Sometimes you might not even have a lab where you're working. But this time around, there are simulations that you can run, and kids will be able to see things. You might not have the necessary chemicals in the lab, but you can run certain simulations depending on the nature of the school and their financial capacity. Yeah, so I think those are like the key things: learner-centered, problem-based solving, so problem-based learning, I mean, and hands-on. Let kids feel what is happening. Let them be the custodian of knowledge. Then that can work for STEM.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think those are really good points that you've actually raised. Ignite or spark curiosity and excitement. I feel that's quite a fundamental aspect because if I remember well, I think the only or most of the classes or the work that I would remember is in school, it's practical work because it was fun, it was exciting, it was hands-on, and so it becomes easier for you to remember what you were doing. And even when they give you a paper to say, write down what you have been doing in the field, it just flows. But a situation where it's theory throughout, it's a bit difficult to handle for students like myself. And also, I like that you mentioned that you need to understand the needs of each student. There needs to be an aspect of equity there, and not just equality. So look at each student and understand that, okay, is this an A plus student? Is this a B plus student, B, and so on and so forth. And really, if we had more educators like you, I think things would be so much better. Thank you so much for that. Now we are privileged to have Dr. Inutu Lubinda joining us. I know we are in the dying minutes of our session, but quickly, Inutu, welcome to our career guidance webinar. And in just under a minute, are you able to just give a brief introduction of yourself?
Good evening, how are you? Thank you so much for inviting me for this session. It's humbling. Thank you so much to Thrive Aid. So there's not so much about me really. Ingrid Luvinda, I'm a medical doctor by profession, and I'm also an executive director for a nonprofit organization called White Rose Foundation, where we work with underprivileged children. What we do basically is just increasing their access to education and also providing them with school supplies. The essence is for us to just increase on long-term educational opportunities, and also ensuring that these kids remain in school, get the education they need, so that they can be able to be active members, contributing members of their communities. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now, still with you, Andrew. Are you able to turn on your camera?
Unfortunately, I'm very sorry, I'm unable to.
No,
I'd apologize the latter because of my location.
No, that's understood. I'm trying to make this as interactive as possible, and just as we talked about with blessings, we need to ignite and spark curiosity, and of course, seeing our faces makes this session more exciting. But I understand you, Dr. Luvinda. Now, what inspired you to become a medical doctor? You know, you're a STEM advocate as well. So before we get into that, we would like to start with your profession. What inspired you to become a medical doctor?
Thank you so much for that question. So on my part, I love giving back to the community, and the medical field is one way in which I felt like I am applying myself. I feel like it's my calling. I believe medicine is actually my calling. I know most people go like, oh, I don't think so. But yeah, I believe medicine is my calling. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy helping out people. I enjoy serving and contributing to the well-being of others. And luckily for me, medicine helps me achieve that. It helps me contribute to the health of others and also serve them in different aspects of life.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, I know you gave us a glimpse of what you do briefly in your introduction, but just to delve more into it, as a STEM advocate, what initiatives have you been involved in to promote STEM education?
Okay, so currently we're running a project which is enhancing literacy in STEM careers. So we are doing this in collaboration with the American Embassy. So the essence of this project is to brighten or to enlighten more minds on the importance of going for STEM careers. So when we read around the UN reports and also looking at the fourth industrial revolution, we know that it has an impact on globalization and how we move from here. And it's projected that 90% of jobs by 2030, everyone is going to be looking for people with STEM capabilities, STEM skills, and people are in STEM careers. So for this essence, we decided to come up with this project so that we can equip those who are in high school and secondary schools on what STEM is about, what type of STEM careers are out there, what type of STEM careers they can venture in. Because the same reports also show that only 20% of high school students are ever prepared for STEM careers. And mostly it is the male gender compared to the female gender. So our organization works with both genders. We don't just work with one. Though I will agree that a high percentage focuses on females, but we do work with both genders. So looking at the 20% mark of those being the only people that are prepared for STEM careers, it shows we have a lot of work to do. If 90% by 2030 is going to be the STEM demand, we need to bridge that gap and that margin. So that is the project that we have currently been running. So it's a project-based learning. We believe you enhance literacy in STEM if at least there's practical work being done. That's why ours is project-based learning. I remember the former speaker had highlighted on why it is important for activities being done in a project-based manner. And that's how we are actually carrying out ours, because this allows them to have a human-centered approach. That is where they will be able to see the problems that they are facing in their communities, and they'll be able to come up with solutions to those problems. In short, we are trying to design people who are critical thinkers, who are innovative, who are problem solvers, because these are the qualities that almost each employer will be looking for by 2030.
All right, great, awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Lorinda. Now, unfortunately, because of time, I would have to be ending the session in a few minutes. But remember, if you've got a burning question or a comment, please just drop it in the chat box, and I will be able to attend to at least maybe one or two questions. For now, Dr. Lorinda, just as we get into our concluding remarks, what role do you believe mentorship plays in fostering success in STEM careers? And even as you answer that, you could attach some of your final remarks as we end this session. So what role do you believe mentorship plays in fostering success in STEM careers?
Okay, so I'll echo back what the previous speaker had highlighted. Mentorship is very key in every aspect of life. But when we narrow it down to STEM careers, it's always important that teachers or guardians get to identify what their child identifies with, or what a child in a classroom is interested in. So if they have seen that their child is actually a tech genius, why not pair them up with someone who has been in the tech field for a while? So the importance of mentorship is that, one, it's going to guide this child on what is expected of them. So meaning it prepares their path on what they need to do. Let me give an example of, if I, as a medical doctor, I am maybe paired with someone who wants to study medicine and they're in grade 11. So it means I need to start from the root of how are their grades in school? How are they doing at school? I need to encourage them to work hard at school, because one, looking at how our economy is, our inflation rates and the like, everything is going to be very expensive, and studying medicine is very, very expensive. So if a child is coming from a well-to-do home that can afford to pay for their medical career, well and good. But if maybe they can't, it means that's where now you really need to push this child to get good results. So for you to be able to go in the non-quota field, the highest grade points they can get for a female is 7. I don't know if they've changed now, but that's how it was in our time. And for the other ones, it's just 6 points, plain blank. They don't go beyond that. So it means then we start from the roots. We start with the foundation. We are encouraged to say, okay, you need to work hard at school. You need to ensure that your sciences, your math, your English, all these, like, make sure you get good grades, because at the end of the day, not only will it allow you to pursue the course or position you for the course that you want to study, but it will also position you for a scholarship. That's you killing two birds with one stone. So sincere apologies, I received a phone call. So aside from that, when you do that foundation, like when you create that basis of a foundation, you're stirring up motivation in them. If possible, show them your grades. That is going to stir up motivation in them, because they'll know, like, okay, if she can do it, if this person did it, I can do it. And most times, children relate to stories. In fact, every human being is an emotional being. As human beings, we relate to stories. So you can tell them about your story. It doesn't matter whether you came from a privileged or a less privileged home, but connect to their need, where they will be able to see the essence of why you are asking them to work hard, because the whole make the same mistakes that you made. So if it took you 10 years to learn something, you'll be able to. So that is the greatest essence of mentorship and mentoring in STEM careers. Here the child aspire to be, and not what the guardian wants them to be. It is always important to pair them in an area where they have interest, because like that, you continue sparking their interest. The more you spark their interest and their curiosity, the more they want to work hard, and also apologies, yeah, the more they'll also want to work hard and also participate in that course. So that's what I can add on that one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Igniting and sparking curiosity came up again. And I must say that's a very valid point. I believe I'm one person who also needs some sort of ignition when it comes to my curiosity. And, most children get bored within a space of 1 hour to 2. So you need to find a way to continue to captivate their minds. And what other way to do that around that? Now, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our session. But before we go, I'll just like our speakers, our 3 speakers, to just give us 30 seconds of their closing remarks. And I'll start with Innocent.
Okay. Yeah, so from or what I can say is that what mentorship does with people who pursue careers or different careers, I feel there's still a bit of a gap which needs to be bridged with how people want to pursue a certain career, and then maybe they were inspired just because their auntie or uncle are doing that. They are medical doctors. Now I've seen the career that um, Madam Inudu or Blessings has done. I think I want to become like them. I think there is more to expand the course or the career that they're doing, to find out what other courses are supposed to be done in that field. So there's more to educate them, to tell them and explain to them what they're likely to face or what they're likely to find in that career. Because I've seen people start in college and then they end up dropping out because they found other courses that were giving them headaches. So I feel even in as much as this mentorship is there, there is need to explore more about that certain course or career that they want to pursue. So it's just an encouragement, say, for those mentors, they are to dive deep into explaining to the learners or the pupils in the field that they want to study in, to say there's more which needs to be done. I think that's all for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Blessings. Over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. My closing remarks will be, I think I will be talking to somebody who wants to venture into a STEM career related. I would say, like I mentioned, sometimes it's a very lonely journey, and all that you have in the tank is passion to take you to the finish line. So I know most of us get excited when we want to embark on a certain career. The first thing that clicks on your mind is it's something that is lucrative. I want to make money. But if you're going to pursue a career, money should never be a focus, because a career is something that you would do for the rest of your life. So you can make money outside your career. There's so many things. You can be an entrepreneur. You can do so many things. But if you're going to pursue a career, it's something that you need to be very passionate about. I am very passionate about my education. I'm very passionate about being an educator, and I cannot move and do any other things. You can offer me as little as you can offer me, but I want to speak to that child and leave an impact. For me, that's what gives me satisfaction. So I don't look at how much you're offering me. My satisfaction is when I see this child progressing from nothing to something. So if you want to embark on a certain career, I personally feel money should never be a drive. Have the passion for what you want to do, be determined, work hard, and under the sky is the limit. And as mentioned, make sure that you have a mentor. You having a mentor, sometimes it's not necessarily having somebody you talk to. Sometimes all you need is somebody you look up to. And that's like, this is where I want to go. This is how far I want to reach. Then definitely the sky is not even the limit. So I think those are the words I can say in my closing remarks. And thank you to Thrive Aid for giving me the opportunity to be part of this great conversation.
Thank you so much for joining us. Indeed, not even the sky is the limit. Anitri, is there something you'd like to say there before we close?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to Thrive Aid for inviting me for this discussion, and also to applaud you for the great work that you're doing. It's very important that you do these talks. They're very cardinal and they have great impact on the lives of our siblings. Yeah. The thing I'll just add is we always need to practice how to be disciplined. So for whatever career path you want to choose, practice discipline. You will not always be motivated. You might see a motivational quote here and there. You might have people pushing you here and there. Don't get used to the uploads of people always telling you, oh, you're awesome. Oh, you're doing great. There'll be days when people won't tell you you are doing great. And those are the days where you will require your discipline to come to play. Because if you always rely on motivation, it means the day you feel unmotivated or you don't have anyone clapping for you or pushing for you, you will not push yourself to your greatest potential. I'll also add what Mr. Blessing said on find someone you look up to. Find someone who motivates you enough, who is doing what you would like to do. That is like your roadmap and like your vision of who you want to be in the long run. So once you have that, it will help you know what you need to do now to get you to where that person is. And also that's where the mentorship comes to play. If it is possible that that person is within your vicinity, that you're able to reach out to them and ask them to mentor you, then talk to them, ask them, how did you get to this place? what things did you do to get to these heights? That will help you it will prevent you from creating mistakes that you could have avoided. And also it will help you not stay 30 years learning something you could have learned in a year. And value partnerships, work with other people. Don't always do things alone. If it's study groups, put yourself in a study group. You always learn from something. You always learn something from people. At CBU, we used to say data is sangwa mubantu. And like, that is very true. That is very true. So all I can say is thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for that. Couldn't have said it better. I must say this discussion has been very insightful, and I am personally very sad to end it because we could go on and on and on. But thank you so much for the speakers for your time. I know you've got busy schedules, but you spared this time just to join us and be with us. And really, we thank you so much for that. Now, we've come to the end of our session. Thank you so much to everyone who joined. Remember, you can keep up to date with our posts on our Facebook page, and also connect with us on LinkedIn. So I do believe that this session will also be posted on our social media platforms. So in a situation where maybe some people did not join this session today, please do share the link whenever it's posted on our social media platforms. Now, if you know me, you know I'm not going to end this session without a quote. And this is from Katherine Johnson, who was a mathematician in the United States of America. And her quote says, "We will always have STEM with us. Some things will drop out of the public eye and will go away, but there will be always science, engineering, and technology, and there will always be mathematics." So thank you so much for joining us once again. Until our next career guidance webinar, we are Thrive Aid. Good evening and happy Easter.